Welcome to the Fit Femme Project Alignment Podcast. It is here that we cultivate and gather all who have been through it in fitness, relationships, careers, lifestyle changes, and unforgettable crucial life pivots trying to achieve their most sovereign selves. We're here to provide you with thought-provoking, detailed stories and information from truly fascinating men and women from all walks of life, professions, generations, and modern-day sagas who speak to their rawest, darkest moments that made them the strong, decisive, humble, helpful, healing people that they are today. We ask them to hold nothing back because life is a multi-dimensional pursuit to be stronger, healthier, and more aligned mentally, emotionally, and physically. Let's go. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the FFP Alignment Podcast. With me today is Coach Lindsey and Coach Casey. Today, we are talking about super sciencey nerd stuff. Well, not nerd. We'll dumb it down for everybody. I'm just kidding. Well, at least for me anyway.
We nerd out on it.
Yeah. So we're going to be debunking some more stuff today. Like we've already done. We've already talked about nutrition and exercise myths, and now we're going to be talking about some sciencey myths, but more along the lines of like cleanses, detoxes, and wherever our little tumbleweeds take us.
Mm-hmm.
Right, guys?
Right.
I'm going to ride that tumbleweed like I've never ridden a tumbleweed before.
My first question would be like, I don't know. Excuse me. When it comes to cleanses and detoxes, like why? Where? Like why do they exist? Like what? Like, what was the genesis of that? Yes, Casey, go. You have your hand raised.
I would like to go first.
Because I'm genuinely curious. I really don't know.
So, I mean, there's like, when we think of like detoxes, we literally think of weight loss immediately for some reason. We think of like, we're about to shit our whole ass out, get rid of like a ton of water. Seriously though.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's a process. Sometimes it's 7 days, sometimes it's 30, sometimes you just take a pill, sometimes you just dip a tea bag in. Like there's so many different ranges for detoxes out there when in reality, some detoxes are good. Some detoxes are good, but it has nothing to do with weight loss. Okay. So the liver and the pancreas, those things like that, giving them a break, giving them different things. Okay. And then there's also overboard with detoxes. So we have to get all of these out today and make sure that everybody understands, like, are detoxes good or bad? When are they good or bad? What kinds are there? And I mean, I have a really great story to share about a moment I had with skinny teas back in the day, maybe like 10 years ago, 8 or 9 years, something like that, right, Lindsay? Do you remember those?
That's when they never got all the way
them.
away, but yes, that's when they were really living La Vida Loca.
Yeah. I bought right into that, and it was probably one of the most painful experiences of my life, and I learned absolutely nothing from it besides don't do it anymore.
But tell us what happened. Like, obviously it was bad, but tell us the dirty little details.
All right, if you want to open this can of worms right at the front gate, I think that's special. Let's do it.
First of all, you opened it. I'm just pouring it out.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, better not do that again. All right, so I fell for that trap of the skinny teas, and it literally, like, it basically told you, like, here's like all these great ingredients, and like it's gonna make you feel good, and it's gonna get rid of all the crap that you don't want in your gut and your gut lining, and it's gonna clean your colon. And okay, so you in your head you expect common sense people. All right, I'm not gonna lose body fat over this. It might help me like later down the line, but that comes down to training and nutrition. Doesn't matter. So a nutrition even more so is heavier based. So okay, clearing the gut out for essentially something. Now I'm doing that. I'm doing the teas that I do 3 days with one tea bag, and I'm noticing, yes, I'm getting tighter and tighter, and I'm getting rid of water and stuff like that, and I'm using the restroom like you wouldn't believe, super inconvenient. But like now I'm starting to feel like shit at the same time. I'm like, why is my energy low? Why am I like so dehydrated? Why is there so much mental fog? I feel like this was supposed to help me. Okay. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'm not doing enough.
Oh no.
So, or you're just like, that's the common theme. Like, all right, I'm not doing enough cardio to lose weight, so I'll do more. Like it's just in that headspace. So, and that's obviously incorrect, and I'm going to tell you why in this story too. Um, so, um, especially when you're already taxed. Then I'm going into two tea bags. My first day of two tea bags, it was late at night, probably about like 2 in the morning. I had
Yikes.
this before I went to bed around like 8 o'clock. And I figured when your body's doing all that detoxing and recovering and stuff, that's the best time to do it, right? Okay, so I wake up at 2 a.m., drenched in my own sweat, just drenched. The entire bed is soaked. And I'm
Ugh.
already like concerned. I'm like, what? I'm like, am I sick? What's happening? Am I sick during this whole thing? Yada, yada. And then I'm thinking, like, if this is the wrong time to start this, da, da, da. And I get up to walk to the bathroom to use the bathroom because my eyes shoot open and I'm like, I'm gonna shit my pants. Like worse than I have ever shit my pants
Worst way to
before.
wake up possible, honestly.
At
Absolutely.
2 in the fucking morning, and I'm already exhausted from doing all this shit. So like for the last 3 days, I told you like my mind's not right, my belly's not right. I'm like
It was
I'm
just snowballing those symptoms.
yeah, and when you're in it, you're just like, well, so uh, now I'm running to the bathroom and I use the bathroom and I am sitting there. I put my head like over because I'm holding my head in my lap and my naked body because I'm so hot and sweaty and drenched, and it's just running down my face, off my nose, off my chin, onto the ground, and I'm using the
Oh.
restroom. Okay, ready?
Ah, that's how Elvis died.
So bad. And yeah, this is not good, okay? And this is 3 days with one bag a day that's supposed to be helping me. And then I get into day four where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna up it a little bit because they say you can do that. They say that that's a great way to do it. And I was like, okay. So I'm here shitting my whole ass out, and I'm literally waiting to die, to pass over because this is so painful. I don't know if there's anything left inside of me. I stand up, and there's blood like running down my leg from my rectum.
You really shit your ass off. Like you really did it.
So, that was my story with the detox teas. And I remember taking a shower and crawling back in bed and just being like, I am not taking another detox tea in my entire life because I went back to bed with so much pain in my actual board hole and my stomach. And I was also really disappointed in myself that I wanted to do a quick fix like that and
Oh.
have it pay off in one of the worst ways. Like the universe was like, don't do this ever again. And I was like, okay.
Wow, we're not even 10 minutes in, folks.
So and here's the thing too, ready? And I had so many gut imbalances for the weeks following that because it literally stripped me of everything, every good thing, every bad thing,
Correct.
all of that balance. It just took everything. I couldn't digest food. My motility was shit. And I also just felt like crap. It was awful.
Oh my God.
I did 4 days. There's people out there that will literally ride that shit for 2 weeks.
Man, I'm so glad I was broke for a long time because I would have fell for some of that. And the only reason I didn't fall for it is because I didn't want to pay for it.
Yep.
I mentally fell for it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good example of bad.
Yeah, well, so here's I think the total like the summation there of that is like
Yeah.
from day one you could tell that it was not only like okay, it's doing something there, it's doing what it says it's going to do with the box, but it's also taking away that microbiome balance in your gut. And that is one of the like that can turn into one of the most excruciating mentally and physical things that you can get from a freaking tea, you know?
Bro,
Well, it was
yeah.
diarrhea. It was a laxative, right? It was like probably a pretty decent dose of laxative. And from my perspective on it, and still running into it ever so often with women that I know or talk to, is they do, and it is sold as a means of weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody. I'm look. I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody's doing this to better their gut health. You're not doing that to
No.
better your gut health. You would drink like kombucha. You would eat fermented foods. If you were genuinely, and that was your only goal, was improvement of your overall health, you would not be taking diarrhea teas, colon broom, skinny teas, whatever it's called. It is purported and sold. And Casey, if you were the seller of the diarrhea tea, after you wipe that blood up off your leg, you would have turned to the side, snapped a picture,
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah.
and said, I lost 4 pounds in 4 days just drinking this tea,
Blood
Mhm.
included.
and marketed it just like that.
Yeah.
That's just
My
that's the truth. The people that
It really
sell
is.
these things, they use them, they lure people in, they gain people's interest by talking about inches lost, pounds lost, how tight and, like you said, like how tight and like lean they feel. Like, yes, you are going to feel real skinny from the side after a deadly diarrhea, and you're going to weigh less. But
Yeah.
the truth comes out in it's when, and I've had clients in onboarding, like, our onboarding process is just getting to know the clients, their goals, their experience with food, weight loss, nutrition, exercise, all the things. And I've heard it more than once. Like, I want to get started, but I really want to do this detox, this cleanse to jumpstart my results. I've been
Wouldn't
eating
that be
really
great?
bad. And it's one of those things is it you have to answer an honest question. Even if weight loss is your goal, what kind of weight do you want to lose? Do you want to lose bone mass? Do you want to lose muscle mass? Do you want to weigh less because you have less doo-doo in your body? Or do you want to lose body fat? And the science behind these cleanses, these teas, is that they actually prohibit fat loss because of what you
Ooh.
mentioned, by disrupting your microbiome and gut health, and purporting that unhealthy relationship with the scale and what success does and does not mean. It is another it's another shiny thing dangled in front of people that distracts them from the real work that needs to happen.
Yep.
Isn't
It
that an
doesn't
amen?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're shitting your whole ass out. If you market it and you're making sales, you're going to keep shitting your whole ass out to make money too. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's just, it never stops, and it like puts on different clothes, right? And sometimes it's a reset, sometimes it's a detox, sometimes it's a 3 days to, it's called something, but it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it's like we see
Yeah.
it constantly. It's the same thing with all of them. They won't go. They're never going to go away. Like I was done hoping for that day, right, where we won't see any more um, pink packaged laxatives
Mm-mm.
for
Mm.
women's weight loss, because women are, such different beings. We have to take this pre-packaged crap to get our stubborn cellulite and belly fat, and they really play on like your emotions and your insecurities.
They really do.
They really, really do. But just, it's one of those things where if you've been in the game, and I'm talking to people and they've told me, yes, I've done this and this happened and I felt like this, and we go through there, you have to get into the discussion of fault versus responsibility. It is not
Mm.
our fault that women's health and fitness does not care about women's health and fitness. It cares
Ugh.
about money.
Yeah.
It cares about a quick fix. It is not healthcare. It is sick care. It is get skinny or die trying,
Yeah.
basically. But
Hmm.
we know that the vast majority of people at this point in the game, we know that. So it is our responsibility to stop. I don't care if your best friend's selling it.
Oh, yep.
It's our responsibility to quit supporting this garbage that is going to perpetuate unhealthy, unrealistic, sick options for our daughters.
And
Oh,
That's our
yeah.
chronic shit that's going to
responsibility.
stick with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and like Casey said, it was embarrassing. It's
Yeah.
embarrassing to think about the things we used to do for the sole purpose of becoming smaller.
And I'll tell you
Because
right
it's not
now,
about health.
Yeah.
not when you're doing that shit, not when you want some instant shit.
Nah.
So for me, like at a later date when I was ready and like able to get my gut bacteria aligned, get my head back on straight, it took me maybe 4 weeks of just consistent showing up in the gym and getting a little bit of my nutrition on point. to get me better results than it did with that goddamn tea and that very excruciating, like almost like traumatic experience.
Well, how insane is it that you're like, when they start these things, and it's like, you really shouldn't exercise because you're going to be lightheaded and you're going to not have enough
Like, red
electrolytes.
flag.
Like, come
You'll
on, you
get
guys.
injured.
What
You'll,
about
yeah.
that is health and fitness? What about that?
Yeah.
And again, it just keeps this bullshit going when they're like showing their pictures, their clients' pictures, and like I said, they may have wiped blood up off their leg, but they're showing themselves a depleted body that is just screaming for help. But guess what? They pooched their belly out in one picture, then they sucked it in the other, and they're dehydrated and they are shitting water. Yeah, baby, you're gonna be skinnier from the side. Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yeah, I caught on
But
real quick
you're worse.
onto Instagram when it was so easy to tell when somebody was like sucking it in, and like,
I know.
you kind of catch on to that stuff.
Yeah,
Also,
but we
too,
know this. Like
Yep.
we all do. We know this. So that is our responsibility to say, absolutely not.
we have to remember too here that a lot of people that use these types of quick fixes or instant gratification weight loss tools
Mm-hmm.
have past of disordered eating.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
have starved themselves or stopped drinking water, only ate protein.
Mm-hmm.
They've done all of these little things that provide them with that instant move of the scale, or a readjustment in their thinking of like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do to lose weight, or I need to keep doing this and I'll keep this 8 pounds off. Like, we have to make sure that we always consider that, like, you're coming from a stream of disordered
Yes.
eating. If you are willing to flip your rectum inside out to be able to sell a damn tea.
Correct. And it's, something that the only thing you can do is like, I could get online every day because I'm on there quite a bit talking about the Fit Fem and what we do. I have thought about getting on there and doing those videos that get a lot of clicks of like bashing this. You're an idiot if you're still blah blah blah. And I'll tell you what I think. What for me feels better to me is I get on there and I show, like, even my contest prep, putting it out there like, I have been doing this and this is what it looks like when you are perfect, people. And I have lost and gained 1 pound over 4 weeks.
Yes.
Right. And
Yep.
it's all part of the process, and like showing different ways that we are looking at actual progress. The scale, it'll go down. Like, I have no worries about the scale anymore. And that is a beautiful thing from doing things in a way that actually does support my overall well-being and health and fitness and muscle mass, right? But so for me, it's getting out there and saying, actually, it's this way. And actually, I still have energy and I can feel great. And I have all the different things that go into the good, because it would be exhausting just to be that negative all day, because there is plenty of stuff to complain about.
That's so true. Lindsay, I love that you do talk about that. And we need more of that information on the interwebs of like, no, this is what it really does look like. This is what it looks like when you are literally perfect and
literally perfect.
all
Lost
of
and gained a
that.
pound. Lost and gained a pound over a month. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. Let's, let's just keep hitting it perfect. And guess what? The results will come. And it's not even like because I'm just like a blind faith person. I mean, I am it, but also I'm a realist. But it's from understanding the science behind fat loss and
Yeah.
what it looks like when you are eating enough protein and enough calories and getting your water in and letting your body recover and having a period.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all
Just
the
simple stuff like
different things
that.
that goes into it, and watching my body shift a lot with this 1 pound, like shift a lot. And you get to know your body when you do things the right way, which is another beautiful thing. I've done this before. I know exactly what happens in the first 4 to 6 weeks of dieting for me. Not a lot on the scale, but a lot physically. And I also know that now I'm like, okay, you'll feel it. I literally feel it speed up. And now we'll start seeing things go down.
Wow.
Yeah. You're learning the wrong things when you're looking for those instant gratification weight loss tools.
And they're
Like,
blaming themselves. They're blaming
yeah.
themselves. I wasn't tough enough to do 14 days of diarrhea tea. I could only do 4. That's why I didn't lose all my fat, right? I wasn't tough
And
enough.
instead, I was for 2.5 weeks afterwards trying to figure my life out.
Yeah.
Bro. Do you think that had like lifelong effects or just like a long time after that, Casey?
Guaranteed, if I would have done that multiple times in my life, especially at the age that I was, that I would have chronic issues with my gut.
I believe that
It
too.
takes a long
100%.
time to recover. I
There,
mean, the body is beautiful, but you can mess it up.
Yeah.
yeah, well, you're teaching you like there's fundamental parts of your life where you're teaching, especially when your brain is there too. Like you're teaching your body to function and be in one way. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
there's a bunch of stuff that goes into it. Like especially right now, let's consider like ideally 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old girls that are using these teas and using these like they are grown up full
Yeah.
freaking adults on the outside now. They're
I
doing
own
adult
one.
things. I know.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you could definitely probably talk about this better than me, but like they're like say if one of your daughters was to start using those teas and start using fat burners right now, how much that would mess up their central nervous
You
system,
just gave
their
me
adrenals.
chills. Like
Yeah.
I would lose that mind more than if I saw them drinking alcohol, and I'm not kidding.
Right. And
Oh.
it's because for real
Yeah.
though, like
Yeah.
it that can lead to long-term, not only mentally upstairs
Mental.
here, but like the chronic stuff that you could cause your body, your intestines in your gut, your immune system's in your gut. You're going to deal with a possible lifetime of chronic sickness. If
Yeah,
you,
because you're forming still, and I think that, and I'm
right.
sure if I went back to visit my teenage brain, I'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ, but
Yeah.
you're still like you're forming things, and there is such a thing as like your body remembers, like cellular almost memory. And so
Mm.
when you introduce these things as a young age, which so many of us did, your body does have more of a propensity to be like more resistant, I guess, to different things that like if you were just like never had different teas, never messed up your gut biome, never existed solely on ramen noodles and Oreo cakesters,
Hmm.
like things would be reacting. It doesn't mean that you can't still have great results, but there is a price to pay in those formative years, and there's plenty of studies on that too about, and it's you get into the correlation versus causation. Like, is a
Yeah.
woman having a lot of trouble with weight gain middle age because she started doing crash diets and trying to drink slim fast and count points for food when she was
Oh, yeah.
15?
In
Slim
regards to
fast.
resistance, like
Yeah.
yes, but
Yeah.
Or is it that her mind is so
right.
just going the wrong direction when it
Skewed. It's
comes to
skewed.
other, it's skewed, that's the word, that they when they do try to do things the right way, it's almost like their brains won't allow them to, because it's
Yeah.
not painful enough, it's not severe enough, it's not fast enough. And
That's
that's what,
so sad.
it's sad, but it's like,
Yeah.
and I think too, just because of what I do for a living, my hypervigilance with 2 daughters
Mm.
is like high alert. The way that I talk about food, the way that I talk about my body, or when, like right now, when I'm going into a dieting phase. We had this conversation, last night. It was because I've got to show y'all this.
What?
But the friend gave, people are surprised, I think, at how much people like I eat and how often, especially with what I do and like, everything. Like, how do you eat that much? I'm like, it's not that much. But I got this, someone gave me a magnet, and it's, who Dr. Now is? Dr. Nelsarden on my 600-pound life.
Oh,
It
yeah,
says,
yeah.
it's that guy, and it says, why you eat so much. And
Oh
so
my God.
we were talking about that, and my daughter mentioned, she's like, yeah, a lot of times my friends or my friend's mom will ask me, what do you eat? What does your mom eat? Like, how does
Oh,
she eat?
yeah.
And my mom's like, a lot, and a lot of stuff, like it's a lot of food. And just opening that conversation of what a healthy, thriving thing it is to eat well, to know what you're eating and like be purposeful a lot of times, but also allow plenty of room for the joy and the fulfillment that comes from food, right? Because they're already hearing stuff at 14 years old. Of course, I mean that probably sounds older, but when I'm looking at her, I see a little tiny girl, and I
Oh,
guess I
yeah.
always will. But she's in competitive sports too, that has weight classes. It's a whole nother thing, y'all. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think like you mentioning like how are we getting these overweight unhappy women in their late 30s, 40s, 50s if they have in fact engaged in using these, these quick fixes, whatever it may be. Like there is going to be a ton of resistance because first of all, I feel like at some point we're told, yeah, fitness, like you, if you're going for the quick fixes, it's not your first go around. You tried working out and you tried eating well, and you're like, shit,
Mm-hmm.
that's hard. That's really hard for
Yep.
me to do. And odds are, all right, cool. Maybe you did it the right way, but it's still hard. Or maybe you're doing it the wrong way and it's just really hard. Like you're not eating anything, or what, you're eating low and
Mm-hmm.
you're going ham on the cardio. You're not teaching yourself the right ways. You're not doing it sustainably. Okay, now we're dipping into the teas or the fat burners right away. And I'm not against fat burners. There's a time and a place for them in contests, perhaps sometimes. Okay,
Yeah.
depending on what is in them. Okay, but if you're 18 years old, which I was using fat burners too, running my face off. I've been down all of these roads, every single one that we're talking about. I put myself through the ringer, and I refuse to go back there. But what I'm saying is, now we're now in this part, we're like, okay, so that was really hard, but this thing is quicker. But I want to, it's you're going into it and you think it's going to be easy. It's going to be a quick fix. It's going to like fix your life up. And like you said, you go into it and you're like, good, smooth sailing. But it's actually, people are expecting it eventually to be painful, to be something, to be, so they're pushing themselves to that point where they are shitting their whole ass out. They're flipping their goddamn
Mm-hmm.
rectum inside out. So, like, or throwing up because the shit is too strong. Like, there's a ton of stuff that can
Mm.
go on with these teas because there are items in there like senna, um, and
Yeah.
triggers the nerves in your belly or in your colon and
Yeah.
stuff to shit stuff out. It's so bad for you. It's so bad for your
Jeez
nerves.
Louise. Yeah.
Yep. So you're frying your nerves. Your nervous system is attached to your brain, right? Okay. So there's that. Like that's just
Yeah.
it is your
It
brain.
is.
So and then you're getting into, okay, now they're lost and like now what do I do? That was hard, but it actually made things worse. So now there's resistance around, what do I do? How do I get there? The first time didn't work. This instant gratification didn't work. Poor me. I don't know what to do. So there's going
Yes.
to be a
Well,
lot of
it's
resistance.
demoralizing. It's so demoralizing because it is kind of embarrassing, I think. Because when you say, "Oh, I did this detox," people are like, "Oh, why would you? You're so stupid." But
Yeah.
I think what will really, and the one thing I think that kind of gets through to people sometimes is saying, okay, if they're like, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, and saying, I think Caitlin, I think we've talked about this before, but saying, okay, let's talk about your ideal physique. Let's talk about the body you feel confident in, and when you think about that body that you are like, I can wear whatever I want, I feel confident, I'm not worried about it, I'm not anxious about it anymore, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed of any of my body parts. How, when you think about yourself in that body, are you chronically hungry? Are you chronically fatigued? Is your sleep trash? Are you sad all the
Yeah.
time? No, you're out there living your best life in some cute clothes, laughing it up with your friends and your family.
That's such a
Okay?
great
So
perspective. Yeah.
it is, and that body does not exist in these low calorie deep, that body and that life cannot exist, cohabitate together with these fad diets and quick fixes. And so my favorite analogy is, if you could have the body, the strong, confident body of your dreams, but you had to weigh 500 pounds, and no matter what scale you stepped on, it would say 500 pounds. Or you could weigh your ideal weight that you're telling me you want to weigh, which is, for whatever reason, it's always 120 pounds. That
That's
number.
true.
It's
That's
so pervasive.
Yeah.
yeah.
1,200 calories, 120 pounds. Like, okay. And so I was like, you can weigh 120 pounds and you will always weigh 120 pounds, but your body will look exactly like it looks now.
Mm-hmm.
You have to choose a pill. Which one are you
Mm.
swallowing? And they're like, oh, the body.
Yeah.
You don't give a shit how much you weigh. You want a body you feel confident in because you would love it. Like if I weighed 500 pounds, but I was in this body and I do feel good in my body. And I walked up and I'd be at parties being like, do you have a scale here? How much do y'all think I weigh? You know, you would love that shit.
I would do that too.
I always ask, like, I'll ask, like, if I'm really like trying to jones somebody, I'm like, I'll be like, hey, how much do you think I weigh? And they'll be like 115. I'll be like $140. Drops.
I'm bright.
I do the same thing.
Now, feeling mighty fine.
Yeah. I do the same thing. Like, guess how much I weigh, and people are like, "Oh, I don't want to go there." I'm like, you're acting like I'm asking you to offend me. I'm literally, And I tell them like 200 pounds, all 200 lbs, and they're like, "No way." I'm like, oh, "That's right. It's all down here." I'm just kidding. But yeah, it doesn't matter the scale.
It is one of the hardest concepts for women to grasp because we were just always told that 10 pounds is measly and not needed to be there, or 20 pounds, or you can get abs if you do this for 2 weeks in a row. And it's just
my gosh.
crunches.
The ab exercises have come out hot. Have y'all seen those lately of how to get a small waist? And they show people holding stuff up, and you can't see my whole way, but lifting like their knees up, and I'm just like, it's just nothing. Really?
It's clickbait.
It'll never die.
It's so dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference between strengthening your core and defining your abs.
That's true. It's just we don't even have enough hours in the podcast day to go over why that is absolute garbage, and there should be Instagram jail.
There should be.
Jail.
Go to jail.
I just watched that episode, Casey.
Nice.
Anyway, we've been shitting on little skinny teas. And I mean, that's obviously, we're just using that as an example because the people aren't dumb. We all know what different types of cleanses and detoxes are. One of them, I know, Lindsay, you wanted to bring up was juicing.
It's the same thing. It just makes you shit to death.
But
it's super low calorie.
Yeah.
It's the double whammy. And, a mechanism in a lot of these things, there's appetite suppressants, but especially in a detox, like a juice or something, a common side effect is like mild nausea. And so that's an appetite suppressant. That's a natural one, right? When you feel a little bit pukey.
Yeah.
That's helpful. But yeah, it is just another way to move. And again, folks, what kind of weight do you want to lose? Poo-poo, pee-pee, cut off your femur, or are we trying to lose excess body fat that's making you uncomfortable?
Do you want to feel better in your skin and in your body and have more health, or do you want to deteriorate it or remain stagnant and in the same place that you are?
Yes.
Or backwards, honestly, because the mindset stuff that happens with that, the negative mindset stuff and the pivots that happens with that stuff is sometimes so detrimental that it's so hard to snap back out of.
It's so true. We just have to have that hard conversation. Lindsay and I talk about this a lot. It's just like having that tough conversation with yourself and coming to terms with like, okay, there's not going to be a quick fix for me, probably, because nothing's ever worked. It's true. We've all done it.
Not for me. I mean, I am not the exception to any rule that I've found so far.
Yeah, and people look at you and think there is. They're like, well, what does your mom eat? Like, what are you eating, Lindsay? And you're like, a shit ton. And you're like, nah, I'm not going to believe that.
Why you eat so much?
Go ahead, Lindsay. Or Casey, sorry.
It just, like, I guess for me, like, I know that I've been down this road. I was in the quick fix doing some crazy stuff trying to get skinny for a few years in a row. But that's why I'm so passionate about what I do now. So, and this is where Team Casey came from. And this is where the Fit Femme Project came from. And we continue to grow and learn and all of that stuff. We have to. And we love doing it. So I think being able to actually stand here and say that we've all been through this and we've all touched on this stuff is really, really important. And that's why we could talk so much polarity into this conversation as well. Yep. So, being able to, actually, I want to ask you a question, Lindsay. So we're looking at a bag of tea that says, okay, we've got some like ingredients in here that are helpful.
It's pink and it has flowers on it.
Yeah. It's girl. It's pink like me because I'm a
It's
girl.
for girls. It's for pretty girls.
Uh, okay, but I could see why, like, upgrading from the tea bag to the juices, like fruit juices and veggie juices, would be like, oh, this could work for me
Because
Yeah.
because
it's vegetables and it's fruit. Like, that's healthy. Duh.
energy,
Yeah.
sugar, blood sugar is regulated, all of this stuff. Okay,
No
so
carbs.
tell me kind of like, tell me a little bit more, like, because if you're like, I never did the juicing. That's the one thing I never did.
I've
I've
done
never
that.
done it, but it's just it's the mechanism behind anything that makes you lose weight, other than literal poop. Okay, we know this, like, or dehydration or some mechanism like that that just decreases bodily fluids in general, is a calorie deficit. There are some things that are like more extreme, like juicing, or diets like I can't remember what it's called. Not optimal, but it's Optivia or something like that. That is
Yeah, Octavia, the 800 calorie.
Octavia, the 800 calories. So there are extreme versions of that. Juicing's one of them. If you're using juicing, in a setting where there's rules about it, where it's like you drink this juice, and then you eat chicken and green beans for dinner. Right? That's a extreme calorie deficit. So is Octavia. So is the things where you can only do this for 3 days, things like that. But regardless of what we're talking about, it's when we're talking about weight loss, other than bodily fluid, it's a calorie deficit. The more extreme the calorie deficit is, the faster you will lose weight and the faster you will gain it back.
Yeah.
And that is again, this is people are like, why do you gain more? Because of what it does upstairs. And a lot of times the reason people do these crazy things, even though they seem crazy, guess what they also kind of seem? A little bit fun. Like, it's exciting. It sounds like, oh, this could be the thing. Caitlin and I talked about this on Nutrition Myth. One
Yeah.
Nutrition Myth is there's one thing that's going to be the catalyst
Yeah.
where it's easy for you to fix yourself. You're going to find this one pill or this one superfood or this one juice that is going to make fat just start melting off of you effortlessly. And so people are continually being willing to try these new things to see if maybe they don't really have to pay attention to what they eat and exercise. Maybe. But what does that do? It puts another strike in the part of your brain that is your like failure counter. How many times have you done something and failed? How many times have you wasted money on something when you promised, if you just could do this one more thing, this would be it? How many times have you told your friends and family, I found this new thing and I'm doing this new workout and I'm going to lose 20 pounds in this month, and faded off and not talked about it anymore. And those things, if people want to do something that's hard, if people want to get down like and just really go in for it, work on the mental part
Yep.
of why you have never as an adult been happy with your body.
Mm.
Address that.
Mm.
And realize and accept that things like detox teas, cleanses, low carb plans that only let you eat certain foods at certain times of the day, fasting when you don't want to fast, are part of the problem.
Yeah.
What were you going to say,
Yep.
Casey?
Well, so I think when we come to the realization that there's always a pivotal point in our lives where our health is at jeopardy, or we see someone else's health at jeopardy due to these types of things, or just chronically trying to diet and things like that. And we get that first row, or actually like that straight up like I'm in it sensation, like, oh, I have one body. This is the one thing I came in with. It's grown with me. It's done all of these resilient things for me. It should be able to lose weight for me if I treat it correctly. How have I treated my body and my mind up to this point regarding my body and the way I look and how I'm eating and what I'm putting in it? Taking a moment and kind of reflecting on that and saying, oh, these are probably the things that are setting me back from actually starting to achieve my goals and even believe in myself at all. Because we'll go years and years doing that. So we're
years and
setting
years, and feeling like you're
a
losing
path.
credibility with people, with
Yeah,
yourself, and you are someone that you can't count on.
right.
That is the most powerless feeling, that cognitive dissonance of I am not doing things that align with what I want out of my life, and constantly trying to make yourself like the same you smaller, smaller, smaller. It's like when I went to get a consultation for breast implants. And I was like in there and I was sitting there and we were talking about it. And the guy goes, okay, so what breast implants do is they take your boob, because I didn't, we didn't want to go, like, I was like, I don't really want to lift any of that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want like major surgery, right? Just like implants. And he was like, well, what implants do is they take your boobs and they make them bigger. And for me, I was like, well, I don't want bigger ones of these. I don't really like them. Why would I want larger ones of something I'm not a fan of? So I just left, and I'm still wearing my boobs and I'm glad. The
Hmm.
same thing is when you just do something from the pure interest of making yourself smaller. You are not happy for not just because you're you're bigger. You've got other things going on. You probably are not happy with the way you feel, with the way that you sleep, with the what you see in the mirror as far as the way clothes fit you, and that is not going to be solved by being smaller because you pooped for 3 days straight.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What you did was you wasted 3 days and $80.
Yeah. And I think along these lines too, when you come to terms with the fact that, like, well, let me back up. The way that you put it, Lindsay, with, checking the box of like another failure, and, you keep looking for all these answers. And I think a good step too is just to, one, give yourself some forgiveness, because those aren't
Mm-hmm.
failures. You're just misguided and you
Nope.
fall into like the awful traps of marketing. Like we all do. So that's why
Of
I talk
course
about
we
grace a
do.
lot. Yeah. So just
Yes.
forgive yourself, wipe the slate clean, and like listen
And
to what
stop
we're
falling
saying.
for it. Stop falling for it.
Yeah.
Stop falling for it and just
Stop
tell
falling for
yourself,
it.
like, look, I've done the resets. I've done the 21 days of abs. I've done where I only eat these foods that are provided to me in a box once a week. Like, I've
And the
done this
negative
stuff.
self-talk, man, it never
And the
ends.
negatives, I've done it all. I've tried to beat myself into submission. I've tried to convince myself sugar and carbs are poisonous. I've
Yeah.
done
Yep.
it all. But
Hmm.
now I come from a place, right, of experience. I've been there, done that. And I'm going to pull, I'm not gonna forget, but I'm gonna forgive myself for
Mm-hmm.
doing all this crap, for putting my mind and body through this, but I ain't gonna forget. I'm not going to forget all of these times, and I'm going to pull that negativity from them when I feel discouraged because I gained and lost the same pound for 4 weeks. I'm going to pull that negative experience when I feel tired of meal planning and I don't want to go to the gym. I'm
Yep.
going to pull all that negativity out when my motivation is low to do the right thing.
Hmm. Giving yourself an excuse, and that's another thing too. Like we tend to punish ourselves rather than take accountability. I rather punish
Yeah.
myself. When I was younger, I would punish myself by not eating because I ate too much.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking that was taking accountability, but in reality, it was not. It was building bad habits. It was building a bad mindset, and it was also not helpful. I didn't lose any weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
That's a
was no
good
thigh
point.
gap. There was no, yeah, we literally, we avoid accountability by punishing ourselves because that's how we're taking accountability these days.
I still have to, Lindsay and I talk about this. I still have to keep myself in check. Like when I got back from my cruise and then a wedding, like I was sick of eating. So I was like, maybe I should just, those little thoughts just creep into your head. Like maybe, that's why, people think I'll do the detox after my cruise because, let's get
Mm-hmm.
rid of the alcohol or
Get
the
back on
extra,
track.
get back on
Yeah.
track. And like that little bug just kind of started talking just a little bit because I'm like, I wanted to do anything possible to like not sabotage the work I've already done. But how quickly though I have to tell myself like, Kaylin, are you dumb? Like listen to yourself, listen to your thoughts. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it'll I don't think it'll ever go away. But you often, and I think you talked about it
It'll
too, Lindsay.
crop up. It'll crop up.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now from practice, from putting reps in on the right, it's reps. It's everything's about repetition. The more reps you put in, the better you get at it. right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reps that we put in of viewing nutrition is something that we're doing for ourselves. Like, I'm eating this for myself. This is enough. This is the right amount for me of these macronutrients and micronutrients. I know this works really well for me. And especially when you are trying to lose weight or something, really kind of viewing doing the right thing as data. Because yeah, I could have skipped a meal. I could have skipped my last. I'm still on a really good calorie amount. It wouldn't have hurt me a bit. Hurt my feelings. Not even hurt my body to skip a meal and weigh in less on my check-in day. Right? What if I didn't eat at all past 4 p.m.? Guess what? I'm going to weigh less the next day, and I'm going to have a check-in where I've lost a couple pounds. But I'm not. That's not the point, right?
Yeah.
It's data. Casey needs data to say, we're going to do this and this because you are eating this amount and this is what's going to work for your goals. So when we
We've got
start
to
doing that,
learn. Fuck.
yes, you've got to learn. And you've got to have good information to learn good things. And so like, it's those kinds of things that like, I recognize those thoughts, like you said, they still come up like, oh, I'm not even that hungry and I don't even want to fix this. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I could just take a bath and go to bed. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like, you're just, that's still in there. How hilarious. I'm 44.
Yep.
Bro, like that's the thing. If these will like for the rest of as a woman and as like somebody that's conscious and health conscious, those questions are always going to come up. It's just the discipline and the regard that you have for your overall health, like that you want to bypass those thoughts and just take action.
Yeah.
Huge. Like I will agree with you, Lindsay. Like here I am, I'm 34. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been preaching it for 10 years, practicing it for 10 years, growing on it for 10 years. And here I am still yesterday, standing in front of my fireplace yesterday, going, man, I'm resting today. I don't know if I should be eating 2,500 calories if I have to be ready for a show in 12 weeks. Maybe I should lower
Right.
my carbs because I'm not moving so much. I don't need that direct energy. So
Yep.
I'm wondering if I could just not have my last 30 or 40. But then I go, okay, what are you teaching yourself there? So you're teaching yourself scarcity in times of the unknown? Like, stop doing that. If anything, you owe yourself a little bit more grace in those periods and understanding that when you're doing that stuff, you're gathering information about yourself mentally and physically. And then once you get to a point where everything is neutral and there's not an emotional attachment to it,
Yes.
then you could start making decisions.
And you stop
Yeah.
viewing, like for me, like just even recognizing that was that's a voice from the past or a voice that comes from a
Yep.
place that was not knowledgeable or even like as healthy as I am now is the way I view nutrition and fitness. That's not me anymore, right? I am me. And just like being like, you're still there, freaking gotta give her one thing. That little voice, like she's persistent, like you just won't die. But again, and I think that's the beauty behind having a coach
Absolutely.
is that taught me a lot about this is information. This is information and she needs the information. That's my job. That's my responsibility as a client is to do what I said that I was going to damn do.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make all the calls by myself. I handed that over for someone that has perspective of
And someone who can
everything I'm doing.
unemotionally
Yeah.
make changes and pivots.
Yes, you unemotionally make, it's like I tell people, it's like, this is my house. I lived up in here for like 7 or 8 years. But someone standing on the street could tell me in more detail what my house looked like right now. Because I'm not out there. I can't see out there because I'm
That's a great
inside of
point.
it. And so that's, to me, that's a huge learning point of having a coach is being able to release the emotion and self-judgment from stuff. I have a job and it is to do my workouts as prescribed, do my cardio, and hit my macros as prescribed. And if I don't, I have to report when, how, and why I didn't. That's not emotional. That's gathering of information. And then again, it's reps. And now that's how I think about stuff is like, I just want to do, what I'm supposed to do, check that off a list and move on. And a lot of times, especially in lifestyle season, that does involve, don't track this week, just chill out. Go have, it's not going to hurt you a bit to have like a free meal. What are you worried about? Again, repetitions going through all seasons of life is just the best experience is the best teacher.
Amen.
Yeah.
So real quick before we end, for educational purposes, and back onto our main topic, for cleanses and detoxes obviously do exist for a reason. So let's kind of educate people like how, why, when, it's appropriate.
Yeah.
That's Casey. That's 100% a Casey question.
I like doing the juice cleanses like very rarely. I'll just do it like one day. The last one I did it, I loved it. It was just a 1 day thing. I was like, I just want to give my gut a break. I just wanted to kind of chill out internally. And then I went back to eating. It wasn't like this like 7 day like David's fast, So that was my experience with cleanses and detox. Well, that was a cleanse.
Yeah. So I guess my definition in my head and how I use detoxes is like, okay, say I'm feeling sluggish, I'm not feeling great, I've got a lot of, inflammation, whatever it may be, and I'm like, okay, like at this point, I want to go get blood work. I'm gonna go get blood work done. I find a lot of nitrogen in my urine. Okay, all right, so we've got too much protein in our urine, so our kidneys are not processing or not going through what we needed to in the optimal amount of time, without completely fucking juicing themselves and tapping themselves out. Okay, maybe it's time to like, let's cut back the protein a little bit. Let's see what we can give the kidneys that's going to help it recover. Little things like that. And then going from there. Those like for me, those are what I consider detoxes, because they're, those types of things are sustainable. And like, okay, me cutting my protein back by 20 grams or something like that, not necessarily a detox,
For
but
what? Yeah.
it's helping my kidneys at that point.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm still not under eating. I'm putting those calories in something else, into my carbs or
Yeah.
fats. So it's all about balance. It will never be about taking more than giving back.
Yeah, and like to her point, because I'm not a detox cleanse person. I haven't needed to be clear, not because like I would never blah blah blah, but it is not for weight loss. Has nothing, literally nothing to do
Yep.
with fat loss, weight, or like literally nothing.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's our ending point. Is like, has nothing to do with fat loss or weight loss. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what are your final thoughts for the people, guys?
Just redefine your definition of detox. And like I think the big thing is like, if you're taking something away, you've got to be able to put something back in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mine is just accept that this is going to be a longer process than you want it to be. It is for all of us. Like I said, you can do things exactly the right way, and progress is slow. And that thing that always gets on my nerves, that like, guys, slow progress is still progress. Progress is the only progress. That's the only way it really exists. It's not like you're still doing a good job even though you suck a little bit. Like, no, that's the only way it happens, is like slowly, because that is how fat is lost and muscle is gained. It is slow.
Yeah.
How many times though, Lindsay, have you had a client like, we will be, it's a back and forth of just like educating and integrating. And then when they finally let go of all those limiting beliefs, past diet culture things that they've got hanging on inside, or ways that they see themselves in the mirror, when they finally let all of those go, how quick the results actually do start.
It's crazy. It's like the secret to weight loss is accepting that
it's like turns pivot.
But when you change that mindset mentally, things start rolling in. And I want people to know that even if you do detoxes and cleanses, you're still going to have to eat well, get enough protein, and if you want your body shape to change, you're going to have to lift weights. If you choose to take all the right supplements and for your gut microbiome and your health and your hormones, you can do all of these things, and guess what? You're still going to have to eat well and get enough protein and lift weights. Like you can distract and throw money at whatever you want, and nothing will change. You may have a hormonal imbalance. You may have an iron deficiency. You may not have enough vitamin D. you will still need to eat well and get enough protein and lift weights. There are some things that are foundational and unavoidable.
Yeah, if your lifestyle and
Amen.
habits don't change, that tea ain't gonna help you.
No, well, tea.
Fuck the tea.
Oh my God. I was also poor, thank God. But
I clearly am not over the tea yet.
I'm not over the tea now.
Yeah, no. That's hilarious. All right. Well, thank you guys. That was such a great little episode. If you want to hear more, share it and then come back next week for next week's topic, which I don't know what it is right off the top of my head, but you'll find out.
We know somewhere.
Somewhere it's in there. Anyway, you guys have a great rest of the week and peace out. Thanks for listening to the FFP Alignment Podcast. Please support us by downloading, rating, and recommending us to your friends and family. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at the FitFemme Project. That's FITFEMME Project. And for those of you looking to find their essential balance of lifestyle and fitness, book a free consult by going to thefitfemmeproject.com. That's FITFEMME Project.com and click Apply Now. Until next time, this is the FitFemme Project Alignment Podcast.